Hey designers, this is going to go through adding text in Gravit Designer. So we're going to pretend this is my done vector here. It's obviously not. It needs way more work, but I'm just going to leave that there for the moment. So for adding text, up on the top we have the T here. And when you click on the T, you have two options. You can click and drag. And that allows you to just have your body of text in here that's just going to go on and on and on. Okay, that works well for smaller areas or lines of text. I'm going to actually delete that one out. All right, and then the other option is to click on the T and just click down once, and that puts your text here. So I'm going to title this. And then you should be able to come in and click on this and just hold Shift and make your size bigger just by holding Shift. That is not doing it. Maybe you can do that as an Illustrator, but maybe it's not going to let you do it here. Oops. No. Okay. So it looks like you will have to change the font size by double clicking on it and then going to the right. You've got lots of options for your text. So you can't actually import more fonts in here unless you have like the pro version of this, but there's actually a ton of really cool fonts in here. You have more than I would say Illustrator does. So find one that fits best. If you do want to do the pro version, I think you can do a free trial for a number of days, but you definitely don't have to. That's not a requirement. Okay, so choose a font that fits best with your design idea, and then you can change size here. If you can't get to the size that you want, maybe you want to make it really big, go ahead and type in the font size that you want. So I could do 120, press enter, and I've made it nice and big. However, I lost part of my text, so I'm just going to expand that box right here. All right, now let's say I've decided this is my text. I can customize the color. So I just want to highlight it. I do have, some of your fonts will have options as far as italics, thin. This just has a regular white only. I could center it. Once again, I would need to change that space, so that box, so it can fit centered there, and then I can move it over. And then you've got your color options here. So you could choose a color. You can see the little eyedropper. So you could choose a color that's already in your poster, or you could choose something different. Now, one other thing to consider with your text is the arrangement. So if this is my vector, and I'm going to make this a different color just to make it stand out a little bit more. So we can play with some color options here. All right. If I arrange this and I bring my text below, so I'm in my layers over here, you can see that it's going to hide some of my text. So I don't want it to hide that much, but maybe you want it to peek out or be a little bit behind something. As long as we can read it, that's totally okay. There's a lot of space between my lines here. So I'm going to go back to my text. And that's when I can go and let's see if it has it here. So you should have like the leading, kerning, all of those effects in here. I'm not seeing them. So if my suggestion to you is, if you can't find them, because I'm not seeing them at the moment, is if you want things spaced closer or farther away, that you would actually, I'm going to duplicate this. I would actually duplicate this text, and I could do, so I'm going to delete out that part here and delete out that part, and I could just arrange these separately. So I could come in and I could move this here And then I'll move the Aussie up closer. And then you have a little more freedom with your arrangement and where things are placed, which is actually really nice. Okay. So you could have things separate. So this would be my headline. I still would play with this more. And then I could add new text. Maybe I'm going to have it come down through here. And this could be my subhead. And actually, I'm going to move this up above. It's going to be called, because this is called the Adventures of. So I want that to be a little bit smaller. Bunny and Ozzy is the main thing I want everyone to see. So I would move this up above. The fonts are different at this point, so I would either want to choose a different version of the Bunny and Ozzy one that I have, or a simple or more simple version of a font in general. Like this might work really well, actually. I would want it to be bigger, so I'm going to play with size here. But the Adventures of Bunny and Ozzy, so that stands out. I'm going to still play with placement. And then I could even repeat this, Control-C, Control-V to copy it. And I could repeat that same font down here. And then this is where you would have like maybe your actors or your billings. In this case, I'm going to do written by, and I would make this a little bit smaller. Okay. And play with the spacing that way. All right, so those are just a few things that you'll want to consider as you are adding your text in there. I'm seeing now, as I'm looking at this, that you do have some effects. So you could do a shadow in here. So if you wanted to do a drop shadow, let's see if it added it. It did. And you can play with like where it's aligning. So you could add some inner shadows. You could play with a few adjustments on your text specifically as well, if you wanted to stylize it a little bit more. One other thing, I'm going to try this really quick. I'm going to put the Aussie, I'm going to move it up above everything so it's in front. You could play with a blending mode if you wanted. So normal, multiply, you can see it's kind of integrating with my vector here. So not all of these will work, but you could play with some of your blending modes and see if it would add something fun to your text incorporated with your vectors as well. All right, happy designing. Let me know what you need.